Hello, I am Maria, and this is Hey, Is This Thing On? I'm going to get straight into this. I want to tell you a story about how I bought Hilary Duff tickets and how it actually made me feel really sad, and how that moment is kind of one of the catalysts, I suppose, for why I've decided to actually order a pink microphone and finally start a podcast. So if you don't know, let me just set the scene for you. Hilary Duff is an icon. If you grew up in the 2000s, and you were a girl or not, girl or guy, whatever, but you had great taste in pop music and you loved the Disney Channel, then you knew who Hilary Duff was, because she was Lizzie McGuire. And I remember running home from school to watch that. It was one of my favourite shows. I wanted to be Lizzie. Then she went on to do films. Obviously, she had Cinderella Story, which is an incredible fucking film, absolute classic. Cheaper by the Dozen. She did loads of films and she did loads of music and she was amazing. Basically, I fully loved her. And she's now doing like a comeback tour. I don't know how, whoever her team are, her management, how they have orchestrated this comeback and sort of reinvention of Hilary Duff is just chef's kiss. It is amazing. But she announced that she was doing a tour, okay? And I saw that she had a show in London, these small, intimate little gigs. And I wanted to go. And I looked at tickets. And then there's no kind of about it. I talked myself out of it. I had that voice in my head being like, okay, you don't need to go and see Hilary Duff. What are you doing? You're too old to go to a Hilary Duff concert. Are you going to go on your own? You're a loser. Why would you do that? Don't even worry about it. So I talked myself out of it and I didn't get tickets. And then all of the footage was online. Everything was on Instagram of her, all of the clips of her dancing, of her singing, of her bringing fans up on stage. And I was so jealous, guys, so jealous. And I was so angry with myself that I had not booked tickets because I was telling myself it wasn't cool enough or I was too grown up for this. I was like, what am I playing at? So then she announced she was doing a world tour. Honestly, I had to get tickets for this. I said to Lewis, my husband, I have to get tickets. Now, just for context, I didn't go to a huge amount of gigs when I was younger. I went to a handful. And they were when I was a teenager, and they were at there was a place called the Art Centre in Norwich, and it was all more indie bands, and I would basically go and get pissed, and I can't remember the gig anyway. So I haven't had to do the whole sit-in waiting for Ticketmaster for to get tickets. And Lewis said to me, he was you need to be at your Mac. You need to be at your computer. You need your big screen. You need to be ready to get these tickets. And me being me, this is this trait about myself does infuriate me because it's so annoying. But I thought I knew better. I was I don't know why he's being so dramatic about this. This will be fun. I'm just going to do this on my iPhone. What a mistake to make. Also, anytime I do anything serious, I feel this is a real thing for my generation. That's when you know that you're getting old and you can say things like that. But it's I can't do serious tasks on my phone. It has to be on a laptop, booking a holiday or, I don't know, paying a bill or anything like that has to be on my laptop. But no, I thought I knew better than Lewis, who has done this many a times. And I was no, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to do it on my phone. Tried to get tickets on my phone, guys. It was a fucking disaster. I was on close to tears and I was getting really stressed. It was also a weekday and I was interrupting Lewis's work day to help me do these tickets. And I also didn't want to let him know how much it was frustrating me, because I didn't want to have the conversation of well, I told you so, even though he did tell me so. But I didn't get tickets. Every time I was putting two in my basket, one was going. I couldn't get over how many people were in the queue to buy these tickets, but I couldn't get them. It sold out. I was fucking hell, this is a nightmare. Then this was a twist of fate. This was the angels basically saying that you need to be at this Hilary Duff concert. There is a woman, I'm going to shout out Natasha. She managed the venue where we got married. Now, I haven't spoken to Natasha since the wedding, so since November 2024, and I was that person because I found out that she now manages the place where Hilary Duff is performing in Manchester. I slid into the DMs. No fucking shame. I laid it on the line, full on gushy message. I wouldn't ask if this wasn't really serious, but honestly, I have to get Hilary Duff tickets. She is I need to see her. She is my idol. I will love you forever. What can I do? Is there anything I can do for us to get tickets for this? And she was a gem. She literally was yeah, send me this and I'll get them sorted. Got me two VIP tickets. So I'm going to see Hilary Duff in September and I cannot wait. I'm already planning my outfit. I've listened to the new album on repeat over and over again because I want to be able to sing along. And you best believe that I'm going to literally have that choreography for her dance routines, like down. So if she does pull me up on stage, which I know probably won't happen, but in my head, if she does, I'm going to know what to do to absolutely fucking kill it. Okay. But this feeling, this is what really got me thinking in the midst of another just spiral of different thoughts and about life. Of all the things that I almost didn't get those tickets. I almost didn't go because I was telling myself that I was too grown up to do this, or it wasn't cool enough for me to do this. And I feel like that is something that I have done for my whole life. I feel like it's something that a lot of us have done for the majority of our life. All those things that we really enjoy, we really love, that we let like what other people might think get in the way and stop us from fully doing them. Like, I mean, the title of this podcast is Hey, Is This Thing On? That is, of course, in reference to our queen, our lord, our goddess, Miss Britney Jean Spears. Like, I get actually offended, and I know people might say I shouldn't. I get offended and I get irritated if people say bad things about Britney Spears, because I am literally like, you don't know what she's been through. Like, seriously, like I would record, and this is like when it was on VHS, yeah? So when she used to have like, make a music video on MTV, or like when it was her birthday, which is in December, I know that, they used to do like a whole day on VH1 about like all Britney documentaries and everything. I used to record them on VHS so I could then watch back. I was a huge Britney fan. I remember the first time I ever heard Lucky on the radio for the first time on Radio 1. I was laying in my bedroom and I used to have one of those purple curtain things. Do you know what I mean? They were round and they'd be above your head and it would like flow over your bed, so it felt like a bit like a weird princess thing. I don't know if anyone, if you know what I mean, then please let me know in the comments, because yeah, we can bond over that aesthetic, because it was an absolute dream. If I could have one of them now, I would have one of them now, but I don't think my husband would let me. But anyway, I remember hearing that and then quickly putting a cassette into the radio and like recording the song onto the cassette so I had it, because it wasn't out on an album yet and you couldn't just fucking stream music. There wasn't Spotify or fucking iTunes back in the day. Do you know what I mean? So I was obsessed. And then I fell into a crowd at school, which was a really fun crowd. So I'm not saying like anything bad about that at all, but it became really cool to be like edgy and grungy, and they all listened to like Nirvana and like Pearl Jam. And I was like, yeah, I can get on with that. And we'd end up just getting high on lunch and like getting pissed at the weekends and going to all these indie gigs. And again, I had fun, don't get me wrong. But guys, I was going home and then watching the TV show. Like, you remember that TV show where they were trying to find the next Pussycat doll? I was going home and watching shit like that. I was going home and like learning choreography from pop stars. Like, that's what I loved. But I felt like it wasn't cool enough to like show that to other people. So I kind of pushed it down. And I think that is what I did with like Hilary Duff, what I did with Britney Spears. It's what I did with so many things. And then when I look back, even getting into like my 20s, teenage years obviously, but then 20s when I was dancing and performing, it was all about trying to fit in. What was everyone else doing? Like, did I like the same things as them? Like, it was like I was too scared to fully own or say what I actually liked, to the point where, I'll be honest, I'm still going, like, literally figuring this out now. I don't know what I do like. I don't know if you've ever had that. It's almost like where you wake up one day. I've had it recently, I'm not going to lie. Where you wake up one day and you're like, I actually don't know how I got here or who I am, what I want or what I'm doing. And the only way to describe it is it's like life has kind of happened to you. You haven't, it literally feels like you blinked and now you're like, whoa. And the worst thing I think about, the worst and the best, there's two sides to this, about having this like realization, I think in my mid 30s, because it is my mid 30s, I feel like I'm having another breakdown, but is the fact of like, I thought I had this sorted. I thought I'd kind of realized who I was. Yeah. I thought I was getting clear on that. And then out of nowhere, like I'm now having all these thoughts of like, but do I know who I am? What is going on? Everything's changing. What do I actually like? Who do I want to be? And I think having this thought process and like, I need to stop calling it a breakdown, because every time I say breakdown, like it makes me feel a little bit broken. And my therapist keeps telling me like, you're not broken. Shout out Lee, who's trying to make me feel like just a more together human being. So it's not like I'm broken. I heard someone say like, you're not you're not having a breakdown, you're like becoming, which is really woo woo and cringy, but in the essence of like just being who you are, I am woo woo and I am cringy. So let's call it a becoming. I'm having a becoming. The thing that's different about this happening now to 10 years ago, when you're like your mid-20s, when you have that like quarter life crisis, is I feel like you're so much more aware of the fact that you're not immortal and time is running out. When I wanted to like change my life and do all this stuff before, don't get me wrong, I wanted to do it, but you still have in the back of your head that thought of, I've got time. Like, I'm actually going to live forever though. I'm actually going to be young forever. Like, it's fine. And feeling this way or having these thoughts now at 36, and I'm not saying you have to be 36. I think everyone obviously can have this at different times, especially if maybe you've potentially dealt with grief or not great experiences at a younger age. You're a lot more aware of this than maybe I was at a younger age. But it's the fact of like realizing like, okay, no, actually shit, time is moving really fast. I've blinked and I'm here. And it's going to go by regardless. And not everyone is going to be here in a year's time. Not everyone might not even be here in 6 months, 2 months' time. You have no idea. So that I think has been like the kick up the arse to make me be like, okay, if I don't start doing the things I want to do now, like starting a podcast and ignoring the voice in my head telling me that I can't, or people are going to laugh at me, or what's the point? Like no one's going to listen. Then I'm going to blink and I'm going to be 46 and I'm going to be feeling the exact same way. And I think this is something that we can all remember, because I would put I put everything I own on the fact that if you're listening to this, there is something that you want to do that you are not doing right now because you are scared what other people might say, what other people might think. You're also probably judging yourself. I do that a lot. I have like this evil voice in my head, and she's not a nice person. And she's almost like being that bitch to me, being like, why would anyone even bother? And the thing is, it's not even about what other people might say. Like, you should do something just because you love to do it, or you want to do it and it brings you joy. Just because we're all dying. I was so aware that when I clicked record, these episodes could so easily turn into me getting really morbid and depressy, and I really don't want that to be the case. But I do think that is, as whimsy and as cringe as I am, I also am quite like morbid and dramatic and depressive. Existential crisis is something that my therapist has said to me. Like, I'm always like, this is such a side quest, but this is a side quest, but I felt this is quite a funny story. At the end of one of my therapy sessions a few weeks ago, she was asking me questions about different things, and I was saying, but what is the point, and why would we do this, and what is life, blah, 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 getting all deep and heavy, yeah? And then I swear, I looked at the clock and it was like 2 minutes to go, and she turned to me, and like after I'd said all this stuff, and she was like, but what if there is no point? I kid you not, I looked at her dead in the eye. Obviously it's on Zoom, but dead in the eye, and was like, you cannot say that to me with 2 minutes left for this therapy session. I will throw myself off a fucking bridge. I was like, you can't just leave me with that thought. And she's funny. She started laughing. She's like, no, I'm not going to leave you. She's like, it's fine. I was like, if I'm questioning what the point is, if you now turn around and say to me like, well, what if there is no point? Like, read the room. Like, no, I need reassurance right now. Okay. That was a whole, I feel, yeah, those sessions can be quite fun. Sorry, I digress. Let me get back on topic. So doing that thing that is scaring you, or that you're worried what people think, that's where I was. That's what I was talking about. So something that I have started to do, which I want to share because I think this is really useful, and I feel like anyone can do this, and I think it really, really helps. If you are feeling like, I don't know who I am, what is going on, who am I, what is my life? I have started to remember the things that I loved doing when I was a kid. And I don't know why I stopped. Again, probably because the girls at school thought it wasn't cool, or I thought it wasn't cool, or I thought whatever it might be. But what were the things that you did when you got home from school that you fucking loved, that you stopped doing? What were they? Was it reading comics? Was it drawing? Was it listening to pop music? Was it making videos? Was it like writing music? Was it writing stories? There's so many things that we would do. Think of like, and if you have kids as well, think about what your kids do when they play. They do all of these things. And at some point, for whatever reason, we stopped doing that. Whether we told ourselves like we're an adult now, that's a big one for me. I feel like the biggest kid ever, but there's so many things I don't do because I'm like, have that voice being like, you're grown up, you shouldn't do that. And it's like, why the fuck not? Like, that's who puts an age limit on these things? Like, it's just crazy. So what is something that you used to do that you loved and you now think, fuck, I don't do that anymore? And just ask, like, how would it feel to do that thing again? How would it feel to buy a notebook and just start writing silly little stories? Fun silly little stories, who cares? But just start writing stories, or to buy some paints and just to paint a picture, even if it's the shittest picture in the world. Yeah, who try and ignore that, like no one needs to see it, but just the act of doing that, what could that do for you? Yeah. And I think I've noticed for me anyway, even with small things of like the music that I listen to, like fully owning that I love pop music, so I'm going to listen to pop music. Or like, guys, I'm not kidding, I will listen to Celine Dion in the gym. Like, that might be why I'm not like the most aggressive like lifter anymore, but I enjoy doing it. So that has just helped me try and remember who I am and to have a bit more fun with it. And yeah, just manage this breakdown / becoming a bit better. I think it is that pressure as well of being a certain age and feeling like you should have it sorted out or figured out. And sometimes you think you've figured it out. This is the worst thing for me is like, I'm like, no, I swear I did this work and I swear I kind of got to the point where I was figuring this out. Why is this throwing me off again? And why is this happening again? And maybe that is just life. It's just constant cycles of doing this. Who knows? But I do want to talk about it a bit more, because I think people will often go online and we'll see people saying stuff like, no one knows what they're doing, we're all just trying to figure it out. And it will like be said like in a fun, inspiring quote way, like over top of a picture of some waves or some shit, yeah. And it's like, okay, yeah, we do talk about it, but it's sort of dressed up in like this funny way. And sometimes it's not that funny. Like waking up at 1 a.m. and not being able to sleep because you're thinking about your whole entire life and where it's gone and where you're going and who you are is terrifying. Like there is so much anxiety around that and stress of like just everything. So I feel like we talk about it, but we don't talk about it. And I'm going to talk about it. And I just have a feeling that whoever is listening to this, I feel like things happen like collectively. Again, I'm going woo-woo, but I'm going to lean into it. Usually, whenever I speak to a friend, not usually, it's actually all of the time. Like I never really, if I say to a friend, like I've been thinking this or feeling this, or like, have you noticed this energy? Like 9 times out of 10, other people are like, yes, I'm feeling like that too. So chances are, if you're listening to this, you feel the exact same way. Or there's something in this that you can take. So that was episode 1 of Hey, Is This Thing On? How do we do, Rogie? Well, he's asleep, so he obviously didn't find it very interesting. If you like this, subscribe, let me know what you think. But yeah, I'll see you next week.